with non-governmental organizations and in working with the federal government. He's passionate about Nigeria and is what you could term a detribalized Nigerian. He considers his boundaries to be limitless and is really focused on changing the Nigerian narrative in political participation. And it's with this tenacity he currently serves as the executive director of the Electoral College Nigeria and the country lead of World Chat. He also was once acting national publicity secretary of COA Party, FCT senatorial candidate 2019. So, I know that we know that this doesn't sum up our ED. I would just love us to give him a very warm welcome in the chat group as he joins us tonight as our facilitator and takes us on this journey of understanding the psychology of politics in Nigeria. So let me see your warm welcome in the chat. Welcome, Edie. We are glad to have you tonight.
Good day, everyone. It's a pleasure, of course, to always be here with the Electoral College. It's always a great thing doing this. So today our topic, of course, will be the psychology of politics. It's great to see everyone here, 41 of you. I'm out of an 800 class. Well, we hope for better things. Anyway, so as not to do too much ado on stuff, I'd like to first ask, generally, most people think there is no thing to politics. What most people don't understand is that politics is a little bit more strategic and more calculated. And it's not based on how many PhDs you have or how many basic colleges you've been to. It is understanding people. Most of all, I would like to add that generally, politics uses power. And of course, power is the ability to exert influence. Now, this course is put together to try and put you together to understand the way it could be this could be used in politics. So I'd like to welcome you all to Psychology of Politics. I believe this is class 712, if I'm right. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to this class. So could I have the next slide, the first slide, please? So thank you. So politics, as we all understand, is actually a game. Most of us think it's a game. Most people like to say it's a war, yes, but it's also a game. And within this game, there are rules, like every other game. They're basically, I'm sure a few of us are sports lovers. A few of us are, like today, I'm swelling off the fact Arsenal beat Aston Villa 1-0, and my team is clearly sitting on fourth position. So that's how the game is played. That's how goals are scored in politics. There, how points are being taken away from you in politics. I think what's most constant to understand in politics is that there is no bad publicity in politics. And most people ask why. You've ever wondered why a politician who you think or consider bad will win more votes than one who would, let me use examples. Let me use practical examples. You wonder why Edino Melai will beat a Patutomi in an election, or you wonder why let's say, I don't know, a wiki would always trump what they call it, let's just think of any other intellectual politician. A wiki will always trump an OBS Chrisley and etc. It's because there is nothing like bad publicity. As long as you're making the news, people will remember the name. And once you give them a reason to remember the name, the game works. So it's kind of hard to try to drive a direction which you don't actually understand with politics and try to say, okay, this is the most ideological person, this is the most intellectual person, this is who is supposed to win. Politics doesn't work like that. It's totally not that way. It's not who is supposed to win. Very few times, very, very few times does the best man win. And we need to understand how this tampers with your psychology while you're thinking. So we're going to look at the game entirely, and I've summed up what I think politics is. But let's say this is my view. This is not the general view, but this is my present view. So you have influence, money, comms, and strategy. Now, most people would like to say money is everything in politics. Money is not everything in anything. Money is not even everything in business. Yeah, you need a little money to start here. You need a little money in politics. Yes, you do. But it's not everything. It's not even the most important thing. First, what is important in politics is influence. If you do not have the influence, you are not going to be able to market yourself as a candidate. And that's why sometimes you'll see somebody like an OBS Chrisley coming out for president and it doesn't seem to go anywhere. there's so many, a flat road to a etc. And this is no offense or to their character or who they are personally or what they hope to deliver. This is just the way it is. I mean, you have a Kingsley Moghalu, and I'll give you an example to show you the effect of influence. So I'll give you an example. Sometime in 2019, the eastern part of Nigeria, which feels marginalized from presidency, would actually come out and tell you a Kingsley a Peter Obi, they stood behind. But Peter Obi was going to be vice president, but they more stood behind Peter Obi when they had another son, Kingsley Moghalu, running for president in 2019. And this is funny. You would rather go behind a vice president than a presidential candidate. It doesn't make literal sense, does it? It really doesn't. But if you ask yourself the real question, what exactly is playing? So how much influence does Peter Obi and Kingsley Moghalu bring to the table? That's what you need to understand. And this influence actually helps direct the way people think, the way they aspire, or the way they call towards you. Everybody knows, of course, Peter Obi will make a great president or great vice president or a president. But what nobody thinks about is, okay, Kingsley Moghalu is running for president, and we've been saying we're marginalized, we're totally taken out of the box on many parameters. But nobody is thinking that somewhere along the line, if we were talking marginalization, then why don't we go behind Kingsley Moghalu to ensure someone from the eastern part becomes part of the system, or wins the elections, or shows a little direction. So now the next thing will be money. Of course, the ratio. Money is needed within politics. Of course, it's the reason why most people, Kunle Lawal will come out and I'll tell you guys, you know what, you guys need to vote for me. Kunle is going to run for president in 2023. And you guys are like, hey, I support you. But, deep down inside, you're like, how's this guy say? He doesn't even have G-class. Or he's not even planning for this thing. He can't even run a campaign office. How much is he holding? How much is he thinking of? How much exactly is he moving forward with? So these are questions you need to ask yourself and look at the influence of money on the psychology of politics. So, of course, the basic psychology helps to, of course, understand the way the general electorate would think. Of course, help break down the way we look at things generally. Another thing which takes a big toll on your thought process of the psychology generally of the electorate will be the strategy. So I'll give you an example. I was consulting for a governor's named state with health while running for office in 2019, and he called me into the room. And this is somebody who has run once or twice or thrice, and he had always taken second. And we decided to look at the entire system. And I said, you know what, bring the voters register, let's look at it. And we looked at the voters register, and I noticed a disparity. Yeah, of course, in a state, people are made up of one tribe, but you have non-indigenous tribes that can vote in that state. So I went and started looking at numbers, how to tilt the system. Then I noticed nobody caught the non-indigenous people that can vote in the state. So I now said, you know what, this could be easy. Just make sure you get your posters in Hausa, in BBO, in other languages that, and then have meetings with the heads of these people. This was able to alter the election. We won with more than a 15% margin. And when we looked at the figures, actually, it was the non-indigenous that tilted the votes for him. You get, so strategy comes a lot more into politics than we think it does. Yes, a lot of people do not think around strategy. Most people just say, we want this guy to win. But how do you want to win? That's the key. You need to understand the Nigerian politics, understand how they think. We're very, very diverse, and we need to understand how things are being done. So realistically, this got the governor into office. And, it seems so simple, instead of playing this gatekeeper, it was just a simple idea, but it was because nobody was paying attention to data. And whether we like it or not, you might say, Nigerian politics is this, that. I'll be honest with you. Till you get data right, you might not even understand what exactly is going on. And the smartest people, I'll tell you something that happened in 2015. Excuse me. I'll tell you something that happened in 2015. There was a little fracas over, a new party just coming together and trying to take part from the incumbent. And, the concept of the slogan was come up with, and, a lot of people were arguing, and, just change. And change looked like, what the hell are you saying? Why can't we want to take over all those kind of serious words? They say, no, change. Everybody. And that's a word everybody could relate to. And the fact that everybody could relate to the word change because everybody wanted something different from the normal, then you're telling me you're going to be able to discuss and bring your party's your party's thought process to everyone, because everybody wanted a change. They just didn't care what it was. So I think it was one of the most brilliant campaigns ever put together. That was 2015 APC campaign. I think it was one of the most brilliant campaigns put together. It's something that I think people who want to run for office should study. The way an incubator was taken out. You know, the first took out media, took out strategic things that in the end, money meant nothing, because the incumbent then, which was President Goodluck Jonathan, had, of course, all the money you could count on at his disposal. But they took out media, they took out direction, took out thought process, took out this thing. And the media, which actually happens to be the most powerful tool, you are able to influence exactly how people think. And this is the ideology of politics. Like most people tell you, the Constitution is bad, the Constitution is bad, the Constitution is bad. If you weren't in this class, or you weren't part of this class, or you haven't gone through the Constitution together, you would have noticed that things like basic education, basic education is supposed to be free as guaranteed by the Constitution. Most people don't even know that. But because the media and a lot of activists, in quotes, please, I'm not an activist, never use that word with me. But they also say, this is the position, this is how it is, this is what's going on, this is how bad the Constitution is. But the truth is, most people that say that basically have no knowledge of the Constitution. Yes, of course, we've stated that the Constitution is not even implemented to about 40%. But the real problem is people don't even key into this Constitution, understanding the way things actually are. The next thing would be communications. How do you communicate with, of course, the people that you're trying to get to vote for you? So you must communicate in a language they understand. I've noticed something with ideological politicians. They speak in a language in which only people who have gone to school would understand and share them at. But when you bring this thing, the idea or the main target of politics is to be able to speak in a language that even a butcher and a professor will derive the exact same meaning from the word you have given. So, this information, but I'll just try to shade it up. So I'm consulting for someone who's thinking of running for president, and they've always come up with the complex, deep tight slogans and stuff. And I was like, no, let's stop. We're here. If we take this to a shoemaker, will he understand what you're saying? He said, no. Yeah. I said, no. Your communication needs to be clear. There's the time here you devise groups and then interact with them differently, but your general communication must be understood generally by the average person who, of course, is participating in that election. Lisa, please, could I have the next slide? Thank you. So communications is very, very key. Now, there are a lot of myths about politics, of course, which affect the psychology of politics. Like now, politics is for a few. So I'll give you an example. We have a class which is up to 800. But give or take, I can't see how many people are here. 58 are here. So that means 58 people think these classes are worthy or think that they need to know what exactly is going on. And therein lies the problem. Everybody wants a better Nigeria, but everybody is not ready to give what it takes to get there. I'll tell you, it's good. A lot of people probably give to whatever cause they think it is. But we don't understand that there's no strength in our collective resource till we put it together. So the people, of course, are the most powerful in politics, but till we put it together, we won't get anywhere. Most people say, of course, like we say, politics for a few, politics for a few. And because this has been created and this thought process, and it has become culture to us, we imbibe the thoughts that, no, I can't get into politics, I'm too small. I can't get into politics, I'm too this. You know, anytime I talk about these things, I always say, please look at Kune. Kune is just a simple example. I'm not going to, because the simplest example, I keep telling people, I'm just the average guy, born to university, people that work in a university. I've never been part of the SUG. I'll tell you something, I didn't even understand the chants of the SUG till I went to Univax to campaign, and then the chanting some things, and I turned to my SAE, and I was laughing, because the truth is I've never heard it before. I was never part of SUG or whatever. But the trajectory and the tenacity and things you could do, of course, I could help break the boundaries to understand that politics is not just for you. Politics is for those who, of course, care about the country enough and try to do things to eliminate those anomalies. Now, politicians are special. This also isn't true. I'll tell you, the average politician makes more mistakes than you do. You sit down with politicians averagely. I'll tell you, it's like sitting down in front of this class, and engaging with this class. I'll tell you, politics is not different for all of us. A whole lot of us don't even understand what exactly is going on from here to here. Politicians sit down and all they think about is, wow, man, this convention coming, man, how we do this delegate, man, I don't know what to do. This is where this is going south, this is going north. And just like you guys, there's no difference. But there's this thing, I don't know what when you come towards Southern Nigeria, no offense to Southern Nigeria, they kind of give politicians a little bit more air than they deserve. All those honorable from where? What is making you honorable? You haven't failed anything in this life that's worthwhile. You gotta get it. So it helps build a culture that politicians are special. Or when a politician enters the room, everybody knows his name. Or they see you on TV and they think, this guy's on TV a lot. Everybody must know him. That's I don't know. What do you call it? It's the electorate's assumption of the kitty and the kata for politics or whatever. Don't worry, I'm trying to make this a little bit interesting. Now, politics is local. If I ask people to define this, what I'm going to hear from people is generally politics is grassroots. That is wrong. Trust me. Politics is local means that. Simply, it means that whoever is running for office or whoever is aspiring to change things must be accessible by the people he wants to change things for. That's what politics is local means. It has nothing to do with grassroots. Any definition you've heard of grassroots, come on, that's not true. And you can't build a campaign on that. But the truth is, like I said, in Nigeria, there's the reality. In Nigeria, we do a funny set of things. So there's the reality of what politics is. There's what we think politics is, and then there's what politics should be, which are three things. If you understand these three things, you'll be able to navigate across the entire ocean of politics. But till you get that, you're going to be quite caught up. And if you look at some things more than some other things, you'll be overweight by things that go on. Now, politicians know the game. I'll be honest with you. I think politicians just try. They just understand that if we do this. I'll tell you one thing politicians know that the electorate doesn't know. So the assumption is that every politician is stupid. Now that is very, 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 very underestimating of people you think are politicians. I'll tell you, all politicians have learned to do is manage human relationships better than anyone else. And that's what they concentrate. That's their strength. They also understand that managing those relationships to make them stronger. So you see a politician picking up a call from a woman who probably just had a baby in his constituency and cannot afford healthcare, and he pays for it. And then you notice a cult-like following from her friends and every club, let's say she's part of one women's club or something. You notice a cult-like following and you wonder, how the hell did this guy achieve this cult-like following? It's by doing the little things. It's by paying attention. It's by giving to people. It's like being part of their lives. I remember so much. One of the most interesting times during campaign in 2019 was a woman who had come to a town hall meeting at spoken at, and I just heard she was her daughter was getting married, and I just told my assistant then to get the address of the marriage and whatever, and I couldn't make it for the wedding, but I was there for the reception. And when I got to the reception, it was a chain thing. I think I don't class here. I think Oscar too is here. I remember, I think when Oscar was getting married and I came in during the midst of campaigns, he didn't think I'd be able to take it, but I think we're very close to elections then. And I walked into the wedding. He was so happy. And those are the things that gives people the ability to think that, you carry a larger than life presence. So that's what politicians know about the game. It's nothing too intelligent. Now, the electorate are smart. I know a lot of people want to disagree with this, but I'll tell you the truth. They have you exactly where they want you. So I'll give you an example. Lagos LGA elections, because of the work the Electoral College do, I interface with multiple parties on stuff systems. And I asked, so I'll tell you what happened first. So I was talking to someone from a party, which I won't name, the chairman of the party nationally. And I was like, you guys don't seem to be participating in the Lagos State local government elections. This is where you could build a system, which could turn a chain up and maybe you could deliver a governor in Lagos State in 8 years. And they're like, we won't participate. The incumbent party has already rigged it. And I was laughing because now I'm going to tell you what happened preceding. So the night before, I was with someone, quite high up in the APC in Lagos State. And he was saying something. He was saying, don't worry, they will win the LGA elections because we already know that we put it out that the other parties think they won't participate because we think we will win. So do you understand? The incumbent transmits that idea that it looks like we're in control of everything. You can't do anything to stop us. And other people back down. The electorate backs down. You had less than 7% of Lagos entire population voting in local government elections. If you say it's presidency now, everybody will canopy and come out. Really? Is that how smart you are? Do you know, I'm sure you've learned in this class the effects of local government and what exactly local government can do. And that's that you ignore that. The average local government, we've said clearly, gets 70 million per month. What is being done with this money? We're not talking of places like Apapa that raises as much as 400 million, or that gets as much as 400 million per month. So the truth is, the electorate is not smart. And the reason why the politicians are able to run on this is because they understand the psychology of politics. And they've already planted. Imagine they'll tell you, do not vote for a small party. Which party is small? All parties have the ability to provide a presidential candidate that if the person wins wins the necessary votes, is entering as president. So which party is small? Any party can deliver as much as any party. But they put it in your head that a vote for a small party is a waste of your votes. Who told you that? And then they'll do that, and then the big two now jump into the deal of the day, which is ballot box snatching and switching up the game, making things hot, and then buying votes. And they told you that a vote for a small party is small. Why are they doing that? It's not hypocrisy. But they planted it in your head and you believe it. So you believe, no, the person is not APC or PDP. And it's simple psychology. We keep telling you these things. You keep understanding what we want you to understand. So that's the way politics works. So the electorate is not as smart as you think they are. Another myth is that people understand politics and government, to think politics and governance are the same. We've defined this earlier in the class, but for the purpose of this, I'll still go into it. So politics is totally different. Politics is the race into office. Governance, of course, delivering deliverables of the elected office to the constituents or the electorate that voted you. These are two different things, but we tend to mix them up in Nigeria. And politicians intentionally mix them up because they know that we don't understand the difference between the two. And that affects your psychology of even being able to demand or account for things that are going on and everything else. So you look at all these things and ask yourself, what exactly are you really doing? What exactly are you really headed to when you seem to not even understand the system you can't and you want to engage it? Now, another myth is political parties have no ideology. Anytime I hear this, it's actually funny. So you say political parties are not ideological. We have lawyers here. Now I'll ask you, can you register a political party with INEC without having a stable constitution and an ideology? You can't. And you won't want to know why you can't without an ideology. It's very simple. It's INEC standard. So all of them have ideologies. Do they follow this ideology? No, that's another downfall. It's a different topic. But can we influx the system and then get more people to participate within this system and then be able to run around and do more things and then follow the ideology? Yes. Have we done it? No. A party is made up of people. Till there are people in a party that can say this is how this should be done, a party won't stand up and function on its own. It will not do that. It totally won't get there. Now, we've gone into the constitution is the problem. I think we can't hammer on this in this class more than that. We always talk about grassroots being the problem. So I'll tell you, there are 73 million people with registered PVCs as of 2019. 28 million participated in the elections. 41 million didn't care. Do you know where those 41 million were? I always say this. Ikoyi, Meritama, Asokoro, Buzape, Banana Island, State House in Calabar, in Kaduna, Ngwarimi, Ngonseki, all the posh places, GRA, Medjugorje, that's where the votes are missing. So how are the grassroots the problem? I've always said the middle class in Nigeria circumvents democracy, and here's how. You don't see a big politician going into the village to go and share rice and money. Who even told the politician that people need rice and whatever? It's of course the middle class. The middle class is the conduit between the elite and the grassroots. And basically, we seem to misunderstand the fact that we're the ones who say political parties don't have ideology, etc., etc. We're the ones that say everything, and we're the ones who gets the contract for the posters for the politicians, who is mandated to be able to put posters in different places, who also is in charge of those posters not being there before campaign season. It's all the middle class. So the middle class indirectly circumvents democracy and comes out with the excuse, without taking responsibility, that the grassroots are the problem. The grassroots anywhere, in any country, in the US, there are places you go to in the US. Let's say you're in Memphis, Tennessee. If you want to go there as a candidate and you don't talk about God, forget it. You go to Texas, you don't talk about guns, forget it. The grassroots is the grassroots anywhere. Who intervenes is the middle class. If you notice, if you look at Trump still could get, hey, the Mexicans are your problem, which is the grassroots. In America, everybody was going crazy. But the middle class stood and said, no more Trump. And Trump was out. So if the middle class stands in Nigeria, we're not going to even have anything close to a democracy. Lisa, please, could I have the next slide? Thank you. So continuing on this, the middle class circumvents democracy. I think I've hit over this a lot. Players and not parties are the problem. We've never decided to look at it from this angle, but those are the basic truths. So the reality is, most politicians and electorate are ignorant. And I'll tell you, politicians do not understand the jurisdictions of their offices. The electorate do not understand the jurisdictions of their offices. I met a local government chairman in Lagos, and he was boasting about the fact nobody could carry him to court because he has immunity. Who told you that? He doesn't have immunity. He doesn't even know. But the local government chairman, politics is in governance. I like this because, your earlier classes have kind of gone through all this. So I'm kind of flowing, I can flow through this very simply. So politics is in governance, and we've made that clear a lot of times. And we've made that understandable. Accountability is holistic and not government alone. So most people think, it's government that has to be accountable. Let me ask a question. You as a citizen, how accountable are you? Do you dodge to pay fees? Do you pay the exact fees you're supposed to pay? Do you pay your exact taxes? You see, before you have to put the tax down. And here's the reason why. You cannot demand accountability when you're found on it. So it looks hard, but you get more angry when you have paid and it's not delivered to you than you do when you haven't paid and you're just following the crowd and talking. You want a country to work, you're paying local government taxes. Ask why the streets are not swept. Ask why the markets, the gutters in the market are not clean. If it's a problem, you sue your local government chairman. And that's how it should be. But no, we don't want to pay these taxes and want to hold them accountable. I don't understand how that works. Another reality which the local government, we thank God for the new electoral bill, which also makes the local government autonomous. But local government is still being kidnapped by the state now, not because the laws do not support the local government now, but because the people in local government are so poor-minded that they do not understand that they are totally separate from the state. They are an entire tier of government, and they don't understand it. But, well, do you blame them? You have basically not, I don't want to call them names, but you have basically people that are not that mentally there yet, mostly in their average local government across Nigeria. And you can imagine these are people who even believe they can be sacked by a governor. An elected position sacking another. Anyway, let's not even go into that. The National Assembly and the state houses are asleep. I can't remember, I was watching a program the other day on TV, and there was the former Lagos State House of Assembly member that was there, and he was priding himself for bills he has passed. And the only bill he could think of that he had passed was a bill supporting the fact that there should be a Fela Day. You were there 8 years. The only thing you have to show is celebration of Fela Day, as if Fela is a national monument. No, this is no offense to Fela. I love Fela's music, but how? How? As in really how? I'll also say the cost of governance is high. We need to understand it. So I'll give a broad example. Nigeria has over 1,000 ministries, departments, and agencies. Imagine everybody getting a bulletproof car every 2 years. Imagine seminars. Imagine DTAs when people travel. Imagine salaries. How do you want our economy to develop? Economies don't develop because government's hand is in everything. I always tell people that Nigeria has a welfare scheme or has a welfare system like you have abroad that takes care of everybody. And people say, which scheme? It's not possible. Now I say civil service, because we employ people that are doing nothing. It's a massive replication of functions. Because why is there ICPC? Why is there SCC? Why do you have DIO and not police? Not DIO is supposed to be a traffic department in police. This even enables you to have more policemen. We have about 400,000 policemen policing 200 million people. How do you expect the police to function? For Christ's sake, for averagely, how do you expect it to function? And these are questions we don't really ask ourselves. The reality is that tenacity wins elections. And most people don't think, because you cannot be placed in a candidate situation. But I'll tell you, the fact that you can keep going, and keep directing yourselves, you have the ability to grow up with force. But you have to have started since. So I find it funny when 1 year to an election, somebody just says, hey, I want to run for office. Really, from where? Where are you coming from? I can tell you that if I'm going to ever run for an office again, I'll probably have an 8-year or 12-year plan. And that's how I'll be looking at it. And then I'll start building towards it. And I always say something. What the mind conceives, the universe bends and responds to. So you can't just come 1 year, you're not ready, you don't understand the office you're running for, you don't understand people, you don't understand anything, you just say, I want to run for office. Why? Because I want to represent my people. Well done, representer. Yeah, next slide. Thank you, Mr. So, in conclusion, I'll state that countries that define territorial boundaries, nations are people unified by an ideology. And leave with this question. So what's missing in Nigeria? Thank you, everyone. Ini, are you there? Lisa, you can stop sharing the screen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Ini, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Thank you, Edie. Sorry, for a minute, I thought you were too. Apologies, please. Yeah, so please let Edie know. Thank you. Thank you for this, Edie. We appreciate. And it was really short. Now we have a lot more time for questions. Yay. I know we already have questions. So as usual, raise your hands. Raise your hands. I know typical with an ED session, we'll probably now wait till 6:45 to start asking questions. Please, let's think of our questions well ahead, write them down and raise our hands as soon as possible. All right, so we'll start with Gabriel. Gabriel, what's your question, please?
Hello, Gabriel. Are you there?
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm here. I'm just trying to unmute the mic. Okay. My question is, you talked about parties having political ideology, and I want to know what role does the ideology play in politics? Does it? Yes, we know Nigerian politicians, they hardly follow the ideology, but I want to know what is the role that political ideology tends to play? Does it bring people together, and how does it play out?
Maybe we're in the class on parties.
Yes, I was. Maybe I missed that.
Okay, I'll explain something to you. I'll give you an example. So the APC is more like the Democratic Party in the US. They believe in government interventions across everything, government being a part of everything. That's the way they operate. They believe that government should assist with education, government should be part of this. Meanwhile, the PDP is more like the Republican Party in the US. They believe in a capitalist system, release everything to the people, privatize everything. Do you understand? Let everything go. The SDP kind of believes in an agrarian system, believe in agriculture, if invested in, can fund almost everything that Nigeria is doing. The ADC, of course, actually thinks that coming together as a country and our benefits would only be derived or could grow up together or could grow together with a united, of course, outside inter-African partnership. Of course, is also very interested in the private sector too. That's the ADC. It's very interested in the private sector. He also is looking at, small and medium businesses too. That's within the ADC. I think the NRM now, of course, same agrarian thought process. But the NRM, I think what makes it key is that the NRM believes we should bring everything down to the lowest level, meaning local government is important. It emphasizes more on the local government. Those are 5 parties and their ideologies and thought process off the top of my head. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. So the next question is from Firi. Firi, please unmute yourself. Firi, I hope I'm pronouncing that well. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Mine is not really a question, it's just, I just want to pass a comment, and it's about the theory aspect of this class is just interesting and all the engagements and all of that, but we need more of experience, like personal experience. For example, now we've been admonished, we've been challenged, we have been given the mandate to actually go out and join a political party. That's what I've done. Like I've gone to my ward, I've gone for a ward meeting, and I was able to learn from what was happening, the proceedings, the way they spoke. I saw so many people, I saw so many, like, from different people from different, I don't know how to state it now, like from different walks of life. I saw them there and I was like, wow. So this is what I'm ignorant of so many things, and I'm just learning things now. And it was an experience for me, like the way they spoke. And I could see that this is different from what we're having in this class. For example, we are learning from people, but we have to actually go out there and learn by ourselves to actually know what is happening. So I can say that now that I'm in the process of getting a card, and I want to be more involved. So I just want to challenge all of us, like we should just go out there and make sure we join a political party at least and know the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And there are always 2 sides to a thing. Don't worry, you might benefit from this class as you go higher up in the party system. You understand exactly what we're trying to give you and what we're trying to say. If I not belong to a political party or held national positions, I will not make statements that I make. So you would understand the purpose of this class. There's theory, but I love what you said. We of course must practicalize it. So having the class is just understanding this. It helps you understand the system. Practicalizing it will help you actually live what we've taught you. So thank you. Ini, are you there? Okay, I think.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ini.
I didn't hear you. You said you think.
No, I said go ahead. Ini. I couldn't.
Okay. Stand. Oh, okay. Maybe it's my network. Obim, your question is next. Please ask your question. Okay, so I have to. All right. Obim, are you there?
Yes, yeah, I'm muted now.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. I have a little bit confusion because you made mention about the problem is the middle class and not the grassroots. So based on my own understanding, that's why I'm asking, can I say the middle class example of the middle class are the 8, because we understand that 8 plays a very big role in politics. That they are positioned that you cannot contest without having people around you to assist you to do one thing or the other. And these people are some of the people that you put so much trust and rely on in order to deliver you across different sectors. So can we actually say that these 8 are also among the middle class that you were talking about?
You said AIDS, right? Obim, are you there? Anyway, when I say the middle class in politics, let me explain what I mean. The middle class necessarily doesn't mean those who have so amount of money in their account. The middle class in politics, so in politics, you have the lower class, the middle class, and the high class, or the elite. Now, the lower class in politics are those who, of course, can be bought off or don't understand politics or take nepotic sentiments based on their educational levels. It's actually on their educational levels. Anybody that has more than a secondary school certificate is able to detect what is good, what's bad, should be able to detect what's good, what's bad, have a basic understanding of the Constitution, or understand governance generally, or understand the way things are. So the middle class is those of us that, of course, have crossed the secondary school certificate level to understand what's going on. And to understand what's going on. That is what I mean by the middle class. And then the elite, of course, are the power brokers. So at that point, they of course, are the ones who broker power, choose who is running and choose who is not. Are you there, Obim?
Obim, is your question answered? Let me see. Obim, you are allowed to unmute. Has your question been answered?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Edie. Right, so next person is Rogers. Rogers, please ask your question.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for the amazing presentation. Well, my question still is along Obim's question along. Yeah, I heard the director quite saying that the middle class circumvents democracy. And he has explained that very well by telling us what the middle class is, what the lower class and the upper class, the elite is. So in a country like Nigeria, where we could virtually say that our middle class is either shrinking across the world, middle class is shrinking, can we say that politicians, knowing the power of the middle class, purposely try to reduce the middle class? I don't know, so that winning election will be easy. I don't know if that might align with your lecture, your thinking. Thank you, and over.
Rogers, let me help you. What actually happens is that the middle class has taken its decisions for temporary gain. For temporary gain, the middle class has, you see, I'll tell you something about the middle class. Their greatest gift is absorbing responsibility of the things that actually cause these problems. So the middle class comfortably absorbs itself from this problem. They are very good at critically analyzing what politics is, what politics should be, and what is. The elite, based on the decisions the middle class has taken, the middle class, of course, has grown smaller. Like I said, I think that after some particular exposure to politics, and actually you will come to this realization. There's so little I can impact in 1 hour or in less than an hour, but there's a video I'll share, which I did on how the middle class circumvents democracy. I think I'll share it so that you guys can watch the program, you guys can watch, and then I break down this thing to the barest minimum. I didn't want this class to be about the middle class, and then the direction. And there's this thought process that the middle class are those who can afford houses of 45 million. That's not what it is in politics. The middle class are those who have at least the literacy level of which they can understand what is going on. So the middle class of economics, you need to divorce from middle class of politics. And I think that's where most of the conversations and the misnomers right now and understanding what I was trying to say come from. And let's be honest, if you follow your class in the electoral college, every class is related to another class. So what you get from this class, if you get fully, you transfer it to the next class, they are all related. It just goes up. So I think that's what would fairly explain how all this would work. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. Our next question is from Toluwanimi. Toluwanimi Divine, please ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, colleagues, and of course the administration of the college and the ED, Mr. Kunle. It's actually been an honor, a really great honor, on studying and learning and having tutorials through you and with your vast knowledge of experience. Okay. That said, I think I have like two questions that's been rolling in my head. One is this ideology that each political party must have.
I take questions one at a time. So you just finish with one. Then
No. I know. It's easy for you to answer them though. You would find out soon. The ideologies from for the political parties to be formed. I mean, based on what you just said now, which we aren't even aware of. That means Nigeria actually has over I don't know, maybe 70 political parties. If I'm right or wrong, please, you could actually correct me. And that means all these political parties have ideologies. So I'm wondering how 70 ideologies could actually fit into a particular sphere like Nigeria. It's a little bit of a I don't understand, but I don't think I'm actually of the opinion that we should try, breaking ourselves to maybe like a 5-party country or a 3-party country if need be. I mean, you have rightly just mentioned about how many parties now and the ideologies, 5 parties. I mean, you could relate and, hold those ones. But the others, you don't even know. Even I don't even know up to 5. So I'm thinking, I mean, can't we as a country actually, because there's no possibility. And can't even the INEC actually shut down or break down all these parties by their different ideologies and realize that, some of these things can't really work? Or because we're actually just still allowing that, legally, you can, by constitution, you can actually form a party and, party would just be there and be registered. That's one of my questions. Maybe I'll probably wait for you to answer that before I ask the other one, because I think I'm already beginning to sound technical.
I don't know. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, so let me answer that. So Tolu, I'll tell you something. Sometime mid preceding 2019, that came up with about 93 political parties. They were existent for 2019 election. And this is because freedom of expression of course limits people from restricting the number of political parties, because everybody must be allowed to express themselves. That is a constitutional grant. But this is okay. In the US, there are over 100 political parties, but I'll tell you the difference. So in the US, what you have is, or in other countries, what you have is, there are parties that do not target presidency. Some is just a word. They use an example with their word. The 2 big parties, if they want that word, they will come in the US. They will come to that political party and say, okay, we'll offer you 1 seat in the cabinet, maybe DG or something. Give us your word. Depending on how the 2 toast them, they will align to 1. But if it's that word, you cannot win that word without that party. It's not possible. But in Nigeria, preceding 2019, all the 93 political parties on that ballot, if you voted in 2019, you will know this. I'm sure you're giving a full scarf, a whole script. And it's crazy. So we all looked at it, and of course, I was in some meetings, which of course I even at post-election, when the electoral college just started, and when meetings with a few extensive organizations, and we decided to they asked for my advice on this, and I said, I think we need to cut down the parties. And I was very, very behind, INEC registering a lot because they didn't even win councillor or with anything. So right now, and we've taught class, so I'll reiterate it, there are only 18 political parties.
Ha! Exactly.
So at 15, I think we're fine. At 15, I think we're fine. I think we're transmitting.
Now, class idea.
Somebody's mic is on. Maureen, you guys, could you help me start mic? Thank you. So we're able to.
I've muted him.
Okay. We're able to transmit. We're able to transmit the kind of democracy that we want to transmit. If I were to advise political parties, if I were to advise a few, I'll say, okay, they're the top two. You guys are like 16. Don't try and go for presidency. Sit down, pick a state, use it as an example. Pick like 3 of their local governments. Throw all your resources at getting those 3 local governments or a state house of assembly and a few. Then start to project. Then when you build and you've shown action, you now tell people, this is what we've done here. This is what we can do on a larger scale. You have more people ganging up behind you. But when everybody decides presidency is something, and there's so many presidential candidates, I'll tell you, I'm not against anybody declaring for president, not against anybody thinking they want to be president. It's your right as a citizen. But, sometimes you get to ask yourself a lot of questions. And the first one is, you're running for president and you don't even know the tribes in Plateau State. I've had the presidential candidate who's young and screaming, young people need whatever, that we need to get into this, we need to get into that, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I said, okay, you're going to go to Plateau State. How are you going to interact with the tribes? It's Plateau State now. Their major tribe is Hausa. And I said, if you go to Plateau and you say that, they'll shoot you. Because the major tribe, of course, is not Hausa. Hausa is even in the minority, far minority in Plateau State. And you have presidential candidates and political parties that don't even understand this. So you just set up the political party somewhere in your 2-bedroom in Lagos or somewhere in your 2-bedroom in Port Harcourt or in Kaduna, and then you sit down and you think you can run for president. I don't understand. And for me, I think this spread. I think parties that put out a presidential candidate should be they should what they call it. There should be a track line for some particular offices you must have held for you to decide to run, be able to present a presidential candidate. People will say this infringes on the political, the freedom of expression of individuals. But for me, I feel if we have a streamlined thing, it means that every candidate that comes out has a chance. You can't have presidential candidates that have less than 5,000 votes. For me, that's a problem. If you've ever looked at it, if you ever looked at the general elections and you look at the number of votes by some presidential candidates who have more than 7 million people following them on social media, if you translate that to their particular number of votes, you will be highly appalled, highly stunned, and highly shocked at what you are going to see. And this is a real problem, and we never tend to address these problems. So, of course, yes, like you're saying, political parties, they're so cumbersome. Even the electorate would not know what to vote. I remember I voted in 2019. It was a confusion. I was a candidate in that election. And even I was confused when they gave me the ballot. Just like, of course, I don't know the party logo, but I was like, what was this? And then you have to see all that. So it helps make bad decisions, and then it doesn't help facilitate. So your second question, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the breakdown of the response to my question. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, so secondly, I want to just crave your indulgence if maybe I probably should be saying this on a private level, not even in public. I was wondering if we could reach out to you, have a private sessions with you, at least. I know, yes, class is class, but of course, sometimes when you actually have a one-on-one with the people or with the person, it helps you a lot to actually know better and know more. So I was hoping we could actually have a private session with you, maybe after the class or sometime other times. That's it's actually more like a request, not even a question.
Yes, of course. I think if this is something that the entire class, I think we could draw up a session so that of course I'll be able to have access to others and others to be able to have access to me. So we could do something for, let's say, like Wednesday evening, and we'll just sit down and we'll just have a jolly talk about politics, like 2 hours. And I think we can open that. I think the admin, I don't know, I'll talk to the now I have an Oga, the head of politics, which is Lisa. So if Lisa, who is my madam at the top, decides to ask for the availability of the ED who's our servant, of course, who am I to say no? So I think that is possible. So I'm just a servant to the college. I of course I'm here for all of you, and that's to get the target of the college is of course to produce more, of course, people that are more literate. So I think that will be an open idea. And I think I just rather attend to everyone. Attend to just a couple that want to, engage freely on any question that is not restricted to a particular topic. I'll be open to that. So I'll be very open to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. On behalf of everyone in the class, I want to say thank you for that. On behalf of the people that would like to attend that session, thank you in advance. So Afolabi, you are next. Ask your question, please.
Mr. Afolabi still here?
Yes, I'm still there. Good evening, Hidi. Good evening, everybody. Yes, on the aspect of strategy, which you made mention about, and I typed the question. I said, what role does lie in quotes plays in strategy? Because you said we studied the 2015 campaign of APC with the change mantra, and we could see that it is riddled with lies. So what does the role of lie play in strategy? Thank you.
But you want to kill me today. I really don't know how to answer that question, but let me attempt to. So it was, if you do it. Hello, am I back here? A call came in. I had to end it.
Yes, we can hear you, Edie.
Okay. So strategy has a lot to do with strategy has a lot to do with what they call it. Strategy has a lot to do with more of winning the elections. So you can't start to say lying is a what they call it. Is you can't know it's a lie till they've taken over the government. You can't really say they were lying to you. You didn't know they were lying to you till they took over government, right? So you need to understand that these things do not work this way. So the strategy is just to win the election. After election, strategy, of course, it's a whole different ballgame. It's delivering governance. So did the strategy work to get the required number to win the election? Yes. So there's no room for lying in this thing. Of course, people kind of exaggerate to make $1 to $1. If you believe that, then I'm sorry, you're not literate. How are you going to do that? Do you understand? So it's all a feel-good system, and you can pray, and that is a tactic. You can prey on the unintelligence of the electorate. The strategy is, the point is to win. So you can prey on the unintelligence of the electorate. And I don't believe that that's anybody's direct issue. Sorry, NEPA has struck. I think they should provide light, but of course, we can continue. So you can prey on the electorate and their thought process, and that's because they don't understand what exactly should be going on. So I don't think there's room for lying. The target's been election now. There's a little, what we call it, fabu here and there. That happens. So it's politics. It happens all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. I especially like that you said we don't know is a lie until they enter office. Abdul Majid, you are next. Please ask your question. Abdul Majid, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Good evening.
Good
Good evening.
evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really do appreciate the effort of the evening. When he was talking about the myth in politics, he talked about money, influence, power, and the rest. Just my own contribution is just like a comment, not question actually. I just remember the former Kogi State PDP government candidate of SDP, who recently became to PDP. I think today, during the election, she had the influence, she had the money somehow, and she also had she doesn't have the power anyway. But what was lacking was the structure, the political structure. She actually did well, being an opposition and party without structure. She was popular. She has the influence. People actually like a lot of things went wrong, and she couldn't meet up in the election. So she had to go to appeal court, from appeal to Supreme, and the rest. Yesterday, when she was decamping, she was like, people were asking why is she decamping to BDP and all those things. She was now saying that during those times that she contested, SDP does not have structure in the state. She has to carry the whole body on her shoulder to form the party in the state and everything. Then when after the election, she goes to the court process, the party abandoned her. And even the party secretariat, the national, she was the one paying the rent in Metama. And I look at it that she not give us the reason why she becomes a PDP is that her reason was that PDP has the structure. That if she had the opportunity in the PDP and the last election, she would have won the election. And when I look at it that, all these things are one of the party structure. We talked about the big party and small party. When you are not in this two of this political party, it's very, very, the chance of you winning the election is like 20 over 80. So today she is now in PDP. She's saying structure is what made her to join the politics, the PDP and the rest. So what we actually need is orientation and character information about politics in Nigeria, because people actually think that without these two parties, you cannot go into anything and all these things. I think we should have some kind of campaign and orientation to orientate the people, the lower class in the politics, that politics is not all about belonging to a big party, as in quote. That is.
Thank you. I'd like to add this. You see, there's something people don't understand. So you have parties that have built themselves over 16, 17 years, and then you want to compete with them. Now, the two strategies.
Because if you enter this in one by one. Sorry, sir. Sorry.
So you have this situation where you have parties that have built themselves over the years, and then you want to come from a party that, of course, and then you have totally no track record preceding the 1 year you declared to office to run. Of course, there's a basic foundation, which we of course refer to as structure. Now, forming a smaller party, I wouldn't say smaller party, I don't like using that word. Forming another party would cost, give or take, for Senate. She ran for Senate in 2019, Natasha Akpoti. Will cost about 1 million. What you spend, and I'll tell you, you spend like 41 million, which is trying to build up, ward representation. Like I ran in Abuja. Abuja has 62 wards, which is the largest senatorial constituency in Nigeria. It's stressful. You have to build 62 ward offices because these other parties, that's the main two, They have this ward offices, ward presence, what you need to build that. So when you're going into a so-called another party, you need to understand that your first job is that money you think you're going to spend in the big party, you are dodging spending in big parties. You're also going to spend in small parties because you need to build up the structure. Yeah, she was paying this thing. I don't need to state what I was doing for national secretariat. It comes with the territory. You can't appear with a political party and expect it to go that way. Somebody took the risks with PDP. Somebody took the risks with APC. That's why they are what they are today. And if you don't take those risks, and then you think the next idea is to jump ship, how are the other parties going to grow? And this is where we have a serious problem. I heard of campaign to PDP, you get based on her system. Yeah, of course. Everybody has an ambition. How they choose to chase the ambition is, of course, their own prerogative. But like I said, and I said earlier, that I wished other parties would just pick, something small, hit at the target. Okay, say we want 40 State House of Assembly in 2023 elections and focus on that. Drag all the money, drag all the, then when you build that, of course, those people would grow. And then you now say, okay, now you want one state governor. We're putting all our strength into that. That one state governor will be an exemplary position for what we want to project for our presidency in 2031. That's how you build a system. And then you will notice that all of a sudden, by the preceding 2031, that's about 2027, if you're able to achieve this, you're going to start having a situation where everybody's saying the three big parties now, no more than two. But we're not ready to do the work, but we want the dividends of democracy. I don't understand how that works. I really don't understand it. And I just look at everybody and, you just have this pedestrian way of going through politics. You feel you just appear from nowhere and then think you can dictate. Even the prophets didn't profit from the religion they were preaching till hundreds of years post them being alive. So how do you think they are just going to come in a country of 200 million and just appear one year before? And then let's say you're running for Senate or you're running for president. How many? Let's look at it. Nigeria has what? You need to look at the way things are. So you need to understand the way things really are before you decide to go into such systems. So thank you for your comments and thank you very much. I think Tiango has the next question. Tiango, how are you? Tiango, sorry. Tiango, are you there?
All right, thank you, Edie. Let me see if he. Yes, let me ask him. Tango.
Ask her.
Oh, her. Tango, you can unmute yourself, please. Ask your question.
Okay, John. Hi, good evening. Thank you. I was waiting to get the permission to unmute. So I just wanted to say something in connection to, I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes.
The question that had to do with telling lies during campaign and all of that, and with particular reference to the 2015 campaign. I think that it
We can't hear you, Tango. Or is it just me?
It's all a problem of
Tango, did you go back? I can't. We couldn't hear you. We didn't hear anything you said for a while.
Oh, hello. Please, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So I said regarding the question that had to do with telling lies or what the role of lies would be in a campaign. I mean, ideally you should say what you can do and then put out points that you are able to back up and support. But I think that what has happened over the years is that people have taken advantage of the fact that our system hardly interrogates people. Our system hardly tries to find out from people. So for instance, if you are saying that dollar will be $1 to £1, did anybody ever ask how that will be done? At any level, at any point in time? Was there any sort of maybe a debate where there was asked? Was the media aware of these things and able to interrogate to find out, because by the time you start asking the person how the person intends to go about it, you will soon discover that the person has no idea about what he's talking about. And that will help you to make your decision. Things are with some of all these opportunities like electoral college and other opportunities that are helping people, well, hopefully become a bit more aware and literate as far as politics is concerned, and how it is played, and how they are getting to understand their system better. Then people should then be able to ask questions. When people come to you to tell you that this is what I intend to do, we should be able to know how you intend to do it. You know, it's not just to say, oh, fuel will be a lesser amount than it is now. How do you intend to do it? Because again, people, the same way people perceive politics is the same way people perceive governance. It's not as easy as it always looks. It's just like football. It's always easy because you're sitting and watching. But when you're on the field, you realize that it's usually a different picture from what it is. So it requires you to really sit down and think things through, get strategists, get technocrats, get people who know how these things should be done, and arm yourself with this information. And then, I mean, it becomes a different issue when you get into office and you are not able to deliver, because at least we knew, or we thought that you had an idea on how these things ought to work, and you had an idea how you intend to get this thing done. It's not just making the promise, but you had a plan. So I think that the system needs to find a way to interrogate people more, to find out how they intend to achieve those bogus promises that they make, because it will help us to be able to puncture holes and tell whether or not they have substance to offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tiango. And I like what you said, and I think this is necessary, which is why the Electoral College is doing the work it's doing. So I think I've told you guys the story of how the Electoral College came to be. So of course, people that have tried to run for office, and we realized that great candidates will never win in Nigeria because people didn't understand the way politics should be, and things that should occur. So I'll give you an example. I have this friend. He has a PhD, by the way, and he's running for Senate in a particular state. So this is funny. And on his poster, I saw zero hunger. So I was like, "You're running for Senate, zero hunger. Are you the United Nations?" And even the United Nations has not achieved that. I said, and then he was like, "Kunle, I'm going to guarantee zero hunger." And I was like, "What has that got to do with you running for office?" He said, "I'll use my NGO." I said, "Then you can as well just use your NGO to do what you want to do and say you're trying to achieve zero hunger in your constituency. But on your poster, how does that affect generally your process and where you're going to with the office? Zero hunger has nothing to do with it." I said, "So you can abandon this and meanwhile create a foundation which is massive and do what you're supposed to do." He doesn't talk to me right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got angry. He got angry because of what I said, because he had put out the posters and put zero hunger. You are running for Senate and you put zero hunger. Are you UNICEF? I don't get it. So it's a massive problem. I'll tell you something about politicians. So yes, you won't blame them for operating on the gullibility of people that they are dealing with. And this is because, of course, Nigeria gives them an unfair advantage to make statements they can't be held accountable for. But if we raise the literacy level, if we raise the thought process of manifestos can be, then they will not be able to make such statements. So that's the hope, that's the target. That's one of the key things we're trying to do with the Electoral College. A lot of other CSOs too are trying to play around that system. I'll tell you something, and I'll say this as the ED of the Electoral College. Most people are have asked key on mentioning PVC. The reason why we're not doing that is simple. Nigeria has never had a PVC problem. 51 million PVCs did not even vote in 2019. What Nigeria has a problem with is if now political parties, people always say they don't have ideology. They have the ideology. But if there is no direct mass in the political party, the ideology won't stand up and act. It's the people that will say, no, this is our political party ideology. This governor, you have to stick to this. This is our ideology. That's how things become tradition. But if we have so few people in the political parties, and we're expecting a politician to hold himself accountable to a party where you just have yes men, no, that's not going to happen. Even in the US, it's not going to happen. So it's the people that make up a party, and those people must hold it accountable. It's just like when people say the Constitution of Nigeria is not working. When all of you don't know the Constitution, everybody can do anything they want to do. They can do anything they want to do, and nobody cares because you assume the Constitution guarantees that. But that is not the real truth. If everybody knew the Constitution and you do this, guy, flouted the Constitution, you can't try it. Constitution is not going to stand up and hit everybody on the head and say this is wrong. I don't know how Nigerians translate it. So I'll tell you something, Nigeria has like best laws in the world. These people don't know, so they cannot be implemented. And people walk around this fact that people are educated. So they walk around it and they get away with a lot of things.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Tango. Thank you, Edie. Adewale, your question is next. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kunle. You've already answered my question partially, but let me just ask it for just asking sake. My question centers on political ideology. Are they really on paper or are they being practiced? Yes, I next ask people to submit political ideologies.
No,
then are people really practicing it?
No. Let me ask.
Because you know how politicians used to do. Most times, they will cross carpet from one party to the other without even knowing the political ideology of the party they are going. I've seen someone contest under a political party, he didn't win the ticket there, go to another party, they didn't give him ticket, to the fifth party where they eventually get him the ticket and actually contested for the seat under that same party without even keying into the ideology. You might not even know the ideology of such political party. We've seen how people cross carpet from one party to the other, even while in power, without following the ideology. So is it that the ideology is just there for just being their sake, or is being practiced because politicians cross carpet from one party to the other without knowing or keying to that party's ideology? Thank you very much.
I think I've already explained this here, stating that this ideology exists, but because people are not in the party, you can't hold them accountable to the ideology. I believe it was Governor Umahi who said, when he cross-carpeted to the APC, he said, they asked him, so what's the manifesto of the party? What's in the manifesto? And he says, a new member, he has not had time to go through the manifesto. And that was a public statement. I'll tell you something. I have cross-carpeted while I was in Koa Party, and I'll tell you the reason why. So I'll open it up so that you make your choices and judge me according to what exactly happened. So in 2018, as a National Publicity Secretary, I have a seat on the National Executive Council, meaning no decision can be taken on the party without my vote. This was Koa Party. Koa made a decision to join TUPP, which is a coalition of parties, etc. And Koa believed, they took this decision without the NEC. And I'm being honest, the chairman and the secretary took this decision unilaterally. And I was watching TV and I just saw Koa Party has joined TUPP. Let's remember that I was running against the incumbent and present senator of the FCT, Senator Philip Tatura of the PDP. And us being in the same party means that I'll run in the primaries against or under the same coalition or umbrella. So my direct question was a written letter to the NEC immediately. And I said, joining a coalition without the permission of the National Executive Council under a vote is against the constitution of COA party. We worked on the constitution, so I know what was there. And COA made it clear to me that they'll bring all the presidential candidates, that when they bring all the presidential, and this is real, when they bring all the presidential candidates together in CUPP, they will all vote within themselves, and whoever wins will be the candidate for all the parties that came together. And I laughed and I said, you guys have a joke about what politics is. And I gave them 24 hours that if they infringed on such, then I think I wouldn't be part of the party because they broke the constitution. And imagine what I was being told. I was like, I'm aware some people collected money. I can say this
Thank you. Edie, are you still there?
Hello, are you guys there? Hello?
Yeah, I was asking you the same thing. Are you there?
No, yeah, a call came in, so.
Okay, all right.
I'll continue from where I stopped. So, there's calls that are coming in that are obstructing my general listening. So, within the political party, the question I was faced with was simple. This party, which I was a part of, was joining the COP without a validation from the National Council. This decision was taken without consulting or a vote in the National Executive Council, which infringes on the political party's constitution. So I gave them 24 hours to make a choice, or I would walk out of the party. They felt it was 3 months to a primaries, and they felt Aliba, National Publicity Secretary, who would give him tickets in another party. But I already was aware that the Alliance for New Nigeria was planning not to even present a candidate because they thought I was a good enough candidate, so they were planning to support me. So I already knew where I was going to. I had to leave, and eventually the COP decision destroyed COA as a political party. Did I cross carpet? Yes. Did I do it because of an ambition? No. I did it more because I believed in a system and I believed in a constitution which I was part of building. And when that constitution was broken down, I left. I leave the judgment to, I wouldn't spend myself on this because I made it clear. I'll be honest, that day I wrote on Facebook that I was leaving COA party, and I put it on Facebook and shut on my phone. That singular decision and that stand on that integrity for the basic constitution turned me to the Kunle Lawal politician that I was in 2019. I know the amount of following and I know the amount of thought process people started to see me for someone that could stand by something. I would always stand for the love of country. There's nothing else. I've never been a party man. Yes, the parties are the vehicles to governance, but I've never been a party man. I've always stood for the Federal Republic, and that was the reason on my entire decision for moving parties. So I leave that judgment to you. Yes, there are cross-carpeting that we've seen across the board, but I'm giving you reasons. I'm giving you a fair cut for carpeting, which I played and found myself in. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. Mariam, you want to ask a question? Unmute and ask your question. Mariam, are you there? Mariam. Okay, if Mariam is not there, Patricia, I see you asked a question in the chat. Do you want to ask your question now? Patricia, are you there?
Ini, you have to unmute Mariam.
I asked her to unmute earlier.
You have to do it again. I think it must have expired or something.
I've done that. Mariam, are you there?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. Good evening.
Good evening, Mariam.
Good evening. I mistakenly went off, so I didn't unmute when it came on and it expired. Okay, so good evening, Edie. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the presentation and the question. I actually just want to talk about this cross-carpeting thing. It's not a question, it's a comment. And going by your story, Edie, it's true that there are few people like you that stand for integrity, and for that reason, you had to take such steps of like cross-carpeting and moving from one party to another. But generally speaking, when we look at our politics, it's not everybody, not all politicians or candidates are cross-carpeting for that same level of integrity that you did. And that is a problem. I particularly have an issue with it because I'm like, it doesn't give room. I had a problem with the fact that Obaseki of Edo State moved from APC just at the nick of his election and was given tickets in PDP. Because the question is PDP saying that amongst all the candidates they had before Obaseki came was not sufficient to have taken to run office against APC regardless? You know, Obaseki was the point man, he's already the incumbent, which gave them more room for win, right? So for now, I strongly believe that we will grow to that point. I strongly believe that our politics will take shape with things like this, politeracy and more enlightenment and time. We will get to the point where we have to, because I'm looking at the idea that when people are not allowed to cross carpet, we'll have more serious people. First of all, you want to think hard to join a party before you even go in. Now, registering or being a party member is so easy. It's the function of, just think of a party. So I wake up and I'm like, oh, I like this party, I join it. And then when this party looks like it's not giving or it's not bringing up what it should, then I can cross carpet. But I feel like when that thing is if we can get to that point where cross carpeting is not so allowed, you know, before you go in, you would think hard to say, okay, if I'm in this party, then whatever this party stands for, I'm there, I can't leave. And we will produce more serious people. But I know for certain that we cannot get there now. The way our politics is still structured, we can't. Because I mean, I saw a question in the chat where it's like, smaller parties are moving to the bigger ones. So there's no room for growing, right? And then you just produce all types of people. That's basically like my comment. I just wanted to add to that to say that I know that we cannot get there, but it's important that we begin to look at it to say, people should not be allowed to just wake up and say they're going for this. Parties should be able to resolve issues, even if there are issues, even if party members don't agree on systems, they should be able to resolve it without having to leave, right? And we see today it's there, even though they're not saying it in the papers, they're not saying it. Most of the cross-carpeting out, some sort of, what do we call it now, setup. You know, somebody's being told, oh, if you don't move, we're going to do this, you won't get a cover, you'll be charged, and all of those things come up. So a lot of the cross-carpeting are not exactly based on the type of integrity that Edie you're talking about, and makes you feel like it's okay for people like us. Yes, for people like you, it's good. But on the other hand, I feel like that cross-carpeting just gives room for everybody and all Jack to do what they want to do. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. But I'd like to also add this part. If you flout the constitution of a political party, what's supposed to happen is that as the chairman and the secretary, like in Kowa Party, flouted the constitution, what exactly was supposed to happen was that the BOT will come in and suspend the chairman and the secretary. That is what was supposed to happen. I wasn't to leave the party. But when the BOT did not come in, and the BOT was looking at whatever stipends they were going to get from PDP based on joining the coalition, and their political wet dream or whatever they thought was going to happen, they stood behind the chairman and the secretary. You don't want to know the number of insults I got at the time from within the party. But I looked at it, this is a party that I've given more than 5 or 6 years. I had set up more than 6 state secretariats. I conducted more than 19 primary, about 10 10 to 12 primaries across states. And I had probably put in a system which had, of course, enabled it to deliver the first e-elections within an intra-party system. I'd done quite a lot. And at that point, I think I was probably the face and the cell for the party. I stood behind something which made sense. Yes, a lot of cross-capiting are not allowed, but I'd also state this. We've gone over the Constitution and we understand the freedom of expression. You cannot restrict movement across parties. It's not done anywhere. The thing is that what the people can rise to, like in America, what they've reason to understand ideologically is that there's a culture. If you move from Republican to Democratic Party, nobody will trust you. But there are people that you see could move. And he moved because he wanted to further a cause. That's a whole different ballgame. And that will always exist. And that opening should always be there. You can't tie people down to a political party. It's no more democracy at that point. You are moving towards communism. So tying people is not democracy. Democracy thrives on the freedom of expression of everyone. It's guaranteed by the Constitution, it's guaranteed by the system of government. So we need to understand that this generally is how we should view things. It should become a culture, like it's become a culture in Nigeria that when there's wedding, there must be jollof rice. So there should be a culture that when there's a political party, everybody must stay put. We must solve our internal party problems, and at any point in time, the constitution of the party trumps and party is supreme. Thank you very much, everyone. I believe that's the end of questions.
Yes, that's it.
I like to say this before the class goes. We already have a tradition for how the classes go. I think by now everybody's supposed to be used to it. Surprising, where is the link? The link is there now. We've provided it. Just scroll a little bit up. I think a lot of people can do this. Most of the information we try to control or shut down the conversation so that this is not too much. But I think by now the class actually should have started to understand the way system go. I'd like to thank everyone. Ini, I would like to close this thing. It's been a privilege always being part of your class. I'm sure you guys will enjoy the next class tomorrow. It's supposed to be a great one. So Ini, you can close the class. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edie. Thank you so much, Edie. So you can all unmute now and thank Edie for this wonderful session. Thank you so much, Edie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you,
sir. We are very proud of you, sir.
All right, and on that note, we'll say good night and see you all tomorrow. Bye.